Are the Dallas Mavericks among the top title contenders heading into 2024-2025 season? That's what we're going to discuss here on Mavericks Today. Jeffrey Cooperstein and Harrison Graham with you, and Coop has 5 teams that he thinks are the top title contenders this year, and we'll see who stands in the Mavericks' way. But before we get to all that, if you think the Mavs are going to win a title next year, spam MFFL tomorrow or in the chat right now. And listen,
you got to have faith, right?
the time is now. The window is open.
Let's go.
Let's kick that door down, baby. Spam the MFFLs down in the comments below.
All right, so here are my honorable mentions. These teams just missed out on the list. It was tough leaving Philadelphia out, and I think Minnesota is just on that next tier out as well. These are 2 really good teams who could definitely be in the mix at the end of May and June, but I just think these guys are right outside the top 5 of true contenders.
Yeah, we talked about this pre-show. Obviously, the Sixers got Paul George. They've gotten a lot of good role players, and maybe we're living in the spur of the moment too much, and it's a different game.
He's terrible.
Joel Embiid has had a rough Olympics, and I don't know what that means for the NBA next year. I still think he's going to be really good, but with his injury history, that's always a concern. And then with Minnesota, I think they have a Rudy Gobert problem.
Absolutely.
I mean, even France is benching him in the Olympics, and then they come out after the game. He's got a finger injury. I don't know, man. That situation feels weird.
You can see that Minnesota has a bunch of talent. I love Anthony Edwards. I think he's a future superstar in this league. He may even be a current superstar in this league, but you can play Rudy Gobert out of games in the postseason. And that's always going to be a problem as long as he's there.
Yeah, especially with that contract. All right, let's get to the top 5 then. At number 5, you've got the Denver Nuggets, and I'm kind of with you. I still think Murray and Jokic is one of the more formidable playoff duos, but Murray was banged up last year, didn't play as well. For the second straight offseason, Coop, they've lost a key player and haven't really properly replaced him. Losing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope this year. They had Russell Westbrook, but if you're relying on him to give you punch off the bench, I think that's problematic. I don't know. I just feel like Jokic has to be special night in and night out for them to have a chance, which he is, but we saw last year. They lost in the second round.
Yeah, there's a possibility that Denver could take a pretty significant step back. I still think they're a top 5 championship contender just because I think Jokic is the best player in the league still, and then the duo with Murray is very formidable, especially in the postseason. And if he was relatively healthy last year, if he has another healthy season, I still think Denver will be in the mix at the end, and you can never count out the Joker. So they did lose another key player, like you said, in KCP, so they'll have to find a way to make up the scoring there. I don't think Westbrook is that guy. Is Christian Brown ready to take the next step as a guy who's going to really contribute to that team? That remains to be seen, and that's why I have Denver here at 5.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think their core 4 can go with anybody with Porter and Gordon as those next 2 guys, but it's not a deep team. I mean, it's, they're banking on their key guys playing big minutes and playing at a high level. So we'll see how they turn out this year. The New York Knicks, kind of the opposite. They don't have the star power of a Nikola Jokic, Coop, but they do have one of the deepest teams in the NBA. The big question there is, can Jalen Brunson be a true one on a title-winning team?
Absolutely.
And the question, and maybe the answer is, maybe he doesn't have to be. Maybe this is more of a Boston approach from last year where, yes, Tatum's their one, but he's not like a Jokic or a Luka one or even a healthy Kawhi type of one, Steph, Giannis. If they just have enough really good players, which the Knicks on paper do have, maybe that's enough to contend to win a championship.
Yeah, they might have 4 number 2s in Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Julius Randle. And you know how I feel about Randle. I don't think he's a playoff performer, but fantastic regular season player. They're going to be a really good team this year. And as long as they can stay healthy as well, they are one of the deeper teams. They're going to have Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench. That's pretty awesome. Miles McBride as well. I think this is the year the Knicks make it to the conference finals for the first time since 1999 or whatever it was. So I really like the Knicks here, and they're probably the second best team in the East.
After the Brunson being a number 1 guy, the biggest question and really concern is Mitchell Robinson's health, because they lost Isaiah Hartenstein. They didn't really bring in another center. I know Precious.
Jericho Sims.
Jericho, yeah, good shit. Hook 'em. Shout out Jericho Sims. They brought back Precious Achua, but if Robinson's not healthy in the playoffs, Coop,
It's a concern.
it's a concern. And I think they're built. They can play some small ball for sure with guys like Randall and Hart playing bigger than their positions. But you run into the wrong team with that situation, you're in big trouble. So
The NBA is still a size game, man, and you still need to have an abundance of it, especially at big man. I like Mitchell Robinson. He's never been healthy, basically a season in his career. So
when he's healthy, he's awesome.
yeah, it just doesn't happen often enough. He missed the postseason last year as well. I really like the Knicks, though. I think they're a fantastic team. I think they could go all the way.
Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's show. If you want to get out of your house, go to some sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, etc., get your tickets with Game Time. They specialize in last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, views from the seats within the app that you can see, and they're going to promise you that lowest price guaranteed. Got a deal for you. Code CHATSPORTS when you download the app and create an account. Get you $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply there. Coop was at the Rangers game last night. Almost witnessed a no-hitter.
Almost saw a no-hitter.
Framber Valdez. Rubber game today with the Houston Astros. So if you want to get out there for a critical game for the Rangers, again, last-minute tickets, day of, you're going to get a good deal. So go check it out. $20 off again with code ChatSports if it's your first purchase only. Create an account today. Link is in the comments and in the description. Download Game Time and go get some tickets and get out to an event. Okay.
This is where I have us.
Dallas Mavericks come in at 3, Coop. I think you could, if you're being objective, I think you could argue as high as 2, which we'll get to in a second. And I don't know, I guess you could say like 6 or 7's the floor. I mean, Minnesota in the right series could certainly challenge and beat Dallas. For example, I would pick the Mavericks to beat Minnesota. But I think 3 is the right spot here because you got the right combination. You've got a true 1 in Luka. You've got a really good 2 in Kyrie. You've got 2 quality centers that can protect the rim and play above the rim. You've added a shooter in Klay Thompson, which was a missing ingredient in the finals. And you got wings who can defend. You lose Derek Jones, but you bring in Naji Marshall and Quentin Grimes. You add depth overall. I think this team has the right combination of star power and depth and rim protection because that's been a big thing for me in recent years. Like I think teams overreacted to the way the Warriors won.
Agreed, and they were trying to
small
copy
ball, and that's just such a uniquely built team with unique players. You still need guys who have size and can play to their size, and the Mavericks have that in Gafford and Lively now. So I think they've got the right ingredients, man, to be a true title contender.
Yeah, I think they can repeat, if not exceed, what they did last year. Hopefully they have more than 50 wins, and I think they could get back to the finals and absolutely win it. They're a really good team this year. It's going to be a really fun season. They're going to win a bunch of ball games. I think they're going to be really good on offense. Still have concerns about how well they'll be able to defend overall, especially if you're running that 3-guard lineup with Luka, Kyrie, and Klay Thompson, because I know Klay is playing the 3, but he is a 2, with all things being said. So that's probably my main concern for this team. But overall, I do think they're one of the best built teams in the NBA to go deep in the postseason. When you have a center rotation like Gafford and Lively where you always have a big man on the court at all times, you can always have versatile defenders on the court, you can always have shooters on the court. The Mavs are one of the deepest teams in the league, and they obviously have who I think is the best player in the NBA in Luka, and that always helps.
Yeah, no question about it. OKC, and I think you could flip 2 and 3. Obviously, the Mavericks beat them in a playoff series last year, but I do think Hartenstein, albeit an overpay, was kind of like the biggest thing they needed was just kind of some physical toughness at the 5. Chet can be more of a roamer. He'll still play some 5 as well, but just gives them options at that 5 spot. And look, their core is so young that the pieces they have and are bringing back, in theory, should all be getting better still. So
they're going to be around for a long time.
They're going to be formidable moving forward. I like the Caruso addition. I think, sure, Giddey is a young, in theory, ascending player, but they already have enough youth, so why not get a win-now piece like Caruso? They're going to be tough, man. If you ask me right now who's in the conference finals, I'd say Mavs Thunder. I think they're the best teams in the West.
Yeah, it definitely could be, or I guess it would be a rematch of the second round playoffs series, but yeah, I love the Caruso addition for OKC. That trade for Giddey straight up is I think a trade that's going to work out for both teams on one of the rare occasions that happens. The signing of Hartenstein was excellent. They get a physical presence at the 5. That will allow Chet even to play some 4 if they want to start them both. which I think is what's going to end up happening.
Will, yeah.
You have Jalen Williams, you have SGA. They're a fantastic team. They're going to win a lot of games for a lot of years coming forward. So that's kind of why I have them ahead of the Mavs right now. Although if they played in the series, I'm obviously going to go ahead and pick the Mavs. But I do think OKC is maybe the team that's best suited to beat the Boston Celtics right now.
I think the Thunder are more built to win more regular season games in Dallas, Coop, because they're younger.
Yeah.
Guys aren't going to miss as much time. So, but I do think in a playoff series, I'd still probably lean Dallas because Luka's proven to be a big game player. Kyrie's been through the battles, and they've got ingredients that translate to postseason basketball.
Absolutely.
Not that the Thunder don't; they're just less experienced. Obviously, more so than last year. Hartenstein helps there as well, but. Yeah, I think it's these feel like the top two in the West right now, then a slight dip before you get to Denver. Who do you guys think will be better this next year? Type DAL for the Mavericks, OKC for the Thunder. I'd pick the Thunder to win more games in the regular season, but if you're talking about postseason, I'd probably lean Dallas. So vote as you will.
I know I just said I have the Thunder ahead of the Mavs as title contenders, but I'm obviously going to tighten my DAL for the Mavs because I'm biased, and this is my show, so I can do what I want.
Not biased enough to say the Mavericks are ahead of the Celtics.
Couldn't do it.
Got to be objective here. And look, I think Dallas has closed that gap. I also think Dallas didn't didn't play that well in that series.
They didn't.
They shot the ball terribly from the perimeter. Kyrie just could not. I don't want to say he couldn't handle the whole situation, but the way he played would kind of suggest that.
It would kind of indicate that way.
Look, Boston, you and I joke about Tatum all the time, but their top six is just so damn good.
You don't get better than
him. Tatum, Brown, Derek White, Holiday, Porzingis, and Horford. That's tough, man.
It is.
Hauser, all he has to do is catch and shoot threes. Like they all have defined roles. And look, if they're healthy, they're the team to beat. Now they're thinner because of that. If they were to lose one of their core players, that would change the dynamics, I think, pretty significantly. But they have great defensive guards. They can defend on the wing. Porzingis, when healthy, is a good shot blocker, and they can all shoot. So it's a tough matchup, man.
I don't think that they're like an unbeatable team by any means. Like, I think there are flaws in their game that you can exploit, and if you have a good enough team, like I think OKC and maybe the Mavs do, you can beat them. But until proven otherwise, they are the #1 title contender. They're built for years to come. They signed both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to long-term extensions.
They're kind of committing to what the Warriors did. Like, they're just going to pay whatever tax bill is necessary to keep this core
Which
together.
is very odd because the owner just put the team up for sale, so you'd think that they would try to avoid that. But
here comes Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos could come in and buy the Celtics. But no, they're a fantastic team, man. Holiday and White, the glue that holds it all together. I think they're going to be back in the finals again, and it's going to be up to whoever it comes out of the Western Conference to try to beat them to avoid a repeat for the first time since the Lakers.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun to follow this season, just a few months away until it all is here. Harrison Graham, Jeffrey Cooperstein, let us know who your top title contenders are. If you want to drop a top 5 in the comments, we'll be reading them along with you guys. Until next time, go Mavs.
See ya.